It is more so a fun paperweight or just a cute little shelf decor piece, but I went ahead and I used some resin for this project, a mold, and also some faux florals. So the first thing that I did was I actually sprayed my resin release spray into my mold, and then I pulled off a couple of these yellow roses here. I think I got these at Michael's or Joann's, but you can also get them from the dollar store for sure. So I pulled off a couple of those along with the leaves, and then you're going to want to mix up your resin. So the resin is super simple. It is equal parts of the resin and equal parts of the hardener. Just make sure to stir each one individually for about 2 minutes each, and then mix them together and stir for about 2 minutes as well. So as you can see here, I'm just mixing it up, making sure it's nice and incorporated, and then you're gonna go ahead and mix them together. So just pour one of the cups into the other one. The resin is now going to start its process of chemical reaction, I guess you could say, and you're going to pour that into your mold there. I then placed in my flowers. You could do flowers, you could do glitter, whatever you have that is small that would kind of fit inside of this resin mold would be perfect for this project. I just opted for the flowers there. I whipped up another batch of resin, poured it over the top to ensure that everything was fully covered, and then you're gonna let this sit for probably about 24 to 48 hours, and that finishes off your little paperweight. This brass mirror here is one of my favorite DIYs I've ever created. I've actually done a couple different versions of it on my channel throughout the years, and it's just such a fun project to create. So all you're gonna need for this is actually some artificial flowers and a mirror of choice. So these artificial flowers are just from a craft shop. You can get them at the Dollar Tree or Joann's, Michael's, wherever you wanna get them from. And I just went ahead and started by giving them a good dousing of brass spray paint. And this is actually going to just be our first layer of spray paint, kind of just to give an overall coat of that brass color. And next what you're gonna want to do is actually kind of find the placement on your mirror for these pieces and use some heavy duty hot glue to glue and adhere them down to your mirror. So once you have them all glued and adhered down, this is where we're going to go in with our brass spray paint once again, making sure to cover up any of the mirror sections and really thoroughly coat those pieces in that brass spray paint to give it a full-on finished look. And of course we're going to need something to hang this up with, so I didn't want to use this white yarn here, so I just actually sprayed it with the gold spray paint, and it ended up looking great in the end. I adhered it on the back side of our mirror, and that finishes it off. I always actually get requested for a ton of decor that includes like an initial or something that you can customize a little bit, and I love this take on an initial decor piece. I think this would be so cute in an office space. So I actually picked up one of these oversized paper mache letters, which I believe I got it at Michael's, and I also got these kind of balsa wood stick sections, which I'm going to then be tiling on the front of our letter to almost give it a restored wood look, as opposed to making it look paper mache or just painting it or adding to it. I thought the wood really elevated the overall vibe, and it was still a very affordable option. So all you have to do is actually just place the wood on the front side, flip it over to the back side, and use a pen to just kind of mark off the section you want to cut, and use a pair of scissors to simply cut away any excess. And do keep in mind in the end that you can go back in with a little bit of sandpaper if you need to sand away any harsh edges, but once you are done, you kind of get this tiled wood effect that I think looks so stunning in any space. One of my favorite materials, resin, and we're going to be making one of my favorite projects, some coasters. So these are some agate coaster molds. You can find these on Amazon if you search agate coaster mold. I also got these dried flowers on Amazon as well, but you can totally dry your own based off of some of the methods that I shared with you guys earlier. But the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and mix half and half of our resin together. So you're going to want to use equal parts of resin and equal parts of hardener. I just find it a lot easier to measure them in 2 separate cups. That way you know that you have equal parts, because if you don't, it's not going to cure properly. So once you do have them mixed up, go ahead and stir it for a couple of minutes and add your glitter. Now, the glitter goes such a long way, you guys. I thought what I added was a small amount, but it ended up being quite a bit. So I stirred it throughout my resin, and then I poured a thin base layer into the mold itself. That way I can just go ahead and start placing in my flowers and give them something to grip to. So I placed them right on top, positioned them into the position I wanted them to go into, and then I filled and topped it off with the rest of the resin material. You're going to want to let this dry overnight for about 24 hours or so, and once they are fully hardened and cured, you can just pop them right out of the mold, and you have these really, really cute coasters. However, I wanted to elevate mine and take them just one step further, so I'm using some of this brass gilding paint. Just go and carefully paint around the edge of these coasters to give them kind of like a metallic finish on the edge. I just think it kind of locks in the design, and that finishes them off. project was a really fun one where I ended up using silverware. This is just plastic silverware from the dollar store, along with a 12-inch circle base. And I went ahead and I broke all of my spoons more towards the actual round part of the spoon. That way we had a longer handle section, which we could actually glue onto the outside back of the mirror. So what I went ahead and I did was I started by gluing these on and kind of evenly spacing them around the outside exterior. And this is what we ended up having from the back side. And then what I next did was I went ahead and I added the spoon portion as well. This is just going to add a little bit more dimension and detail to the piece. And that's just really an inexpensive and structural way on how to elevate any basic mirror.